going to get right into it, man, get it right going. And we're going to go ahead and get you started here. You ready to go?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody. This is Jay Thomas. I'm flying solo today, man. My brother G SIZZLE. They got some issues going on somewhere. I don't know exactly what's going on. I think the chipmunk stopped chipmunking. But whatever it is, the SIZZLE's going to keep on rolling on. Hey, we're here with James Boyd from the Northwest Indiana Times. And James, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. Like I was just telling you before we came on the air, a lot going on, obviously. We have the playoff pairing coming out for football pretty soon here. And then, in regards to that, the regular season is about to end in 2 weeks, and then we'll get on to the do or die stage of the season.
Man, that sounds good. Let's get right to it, man. We got some big news going on. What I understand, Crown Point, can you tell us about their shutting down their program for 2 weeks because of the COVID? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I was, in my room today working on some stuff and getting ready for other stories to go out. And then I got a tweet come across my timeline about Crown Point. And then I reached out to the athletic director, and he confirmed that they're done for 2 weeks because of COVID-19. He didn't really provide any details, but from what I understand, he said that several players were impacted. So they didn't feel comfortable or safe enough to play against Chesterton at home this Friday. And then, at Michigan City in week 9. So their regular season is over, but the athletic director did confirm that they will be back for the postseason. So it's a bummer for them, but at the same time, this is still, the not the worst case scenario. If you're going to have a COVID-19 interruption, this was basically the last time to have it, because if you have any during the postseason, your season is over. So as disappointing as it is to not be able to close out the regular season on your own terms, at the same time, you get to come back and hopefully get that thing rolling again. But yeah, that was pretty big news and literally just happened a couple hours ago before our call.
Hey, James, now we see a similar type of situation going on in the NFL. Is there any word out, any concern thinking that possibly this might be starting of a bad trend? And are we going to be able to finish the season as we see teams like Crown Point and other teams maybe have guys testing coming up positive with the COVID-19?
Yeah, the tough part about this with Crown Point was that, before they had to shut down, this was going to be the first week all year where every, region program was going to be playing. Lake Station was coming back this week after missing last week. Whiting was finally going to start their football season this Friday against Griffith. So it was kind of tough. I was kind of lining up a few sentences in one of my other stories about how, hey, every team's competing this week, and then boom, they're not. But I don't think it has anything to do with the NFL, because unlike the NFL, we talked about this earlier this year too, high school football in Indiana, we get to function under the guise of willful ignorance, meaning that, the players, I'm serious, the players aren't getting tested every day. They aren't getting tested frequently. The coaches aren't getting tested. So, it's basically if a person shows symptoms and then, they go get tested or they shut down, but it's not only until basically the exposure is full blown. So, I was telling somebody the other day, if we were to test all these athletes, I'm sure we would get a number of them that were asymptomatic with COVID-19. But again, we don't have the testing facilities or the capabilities of the NFL. So you kind of get to just move forward with, that willful ignorance. And then, the ICCA has already come out and said that it's basically, whoever can make it to the finish line. If you have a COVID-19 outbreak during the postseason, the season is over and the other team advances. I mean, there's no going back at this point. I know Illinois had opted to play in the spring, but Indiana went full force ahead in the fall. And like I said, the regular season is almost over. So at this point, it's just whoever can make it to the finish line, whether that's winning a game or, just staying healthy. So we'll see how it shakes out. But it's going to be a very interesting postseason and unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's really this 2020. I sort of just want to close my eyes and wake up and let it be 2021.
Oh man, who are you telling?
Yeah, hey, James, I know our time is short with you today. Let's talk about, is there some other things that you want to talk about with the list of the other stories that you're working on, some interesting things you got going on? Tell us something that the listeners want to hear.
Yeah, well, one thing I do want to point out, if you all tuned in last week, I did not get a chance to write my Breonna Taylor column.
Yeah.
Kind of got slammed with some last-minute stories. One of them was that Lowell had to forfeit their first 5 wins because of an ineligible player.
Wow.
And then we had some other things I had to, I went down to Indianapolis Friday to watch Maryville. They lost their first game of the year against Indianapolis Bishop Charter, or Chittard, I'm sorry. And they're the defending Class 3A state champion, pretty big game in the state. So I went down there Friday, and then Saturday I came back and I covered the Hammond schools restarting. They finally started their season this past Saturday. So there's a lot going on, but I do want to say that I've been thinking about, what I want to write about Breonna Taylor and how I want to say it the right way. And, I read a very great piece in the New York Times actually this morning, just to refresh my memory on the entire case and the nuances of it, and not just, a little line here or there. I wanted to really understand who she was, her family, relationships, things of that nature. And obviously there's good and bad, things that kind of were surrounding her life. But overall, I think that, our justice system could have done better. So I'll do a better job of kind of laying that out here. Hopefully this upcoming weekend. And, I think about my mom, my family members, and Black women in my life who have really saved my life and made sure I was straight all the time. So I definitely want to do it justice, and I didn't want to rush it last week with so much going on. So be on the lookout for that. And again, like I said, with everything else, I put my heart into it, and I'm excited for it. And like I just said a few seconds ago, I got to cover the Hammond schools restart, so that was pretty cool. Morton's probably the best out of the 4 Hammond schools to come back. But aside from that, man, I got to see Clark and Gavitt go at it. Gavitt got to win, and it was just exciting to see the kids, do what they love. A lot of these kids are friends around the region, so it was hard for them to see their friends competing where they weren't allowed to. So for them to come back and kind of start their season up, it was fun, man. It was a crazy weekend. Like I said, a lot going on, a lot of big games and big news. But those are stories you can kind of look at our website and check out, and then be on the lookout for other things that I have coming up this weekend as well. I'm always working on something, but the biggest thing is definitely the Breonna Taylor column.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. I'm always interested in those pieces, especially when you get some in-depth stuff like that. And I'm going to be looking forward to reading your column. Speaking about the kids doing their thing, I know you always at the end of our show, you talk about the athletes of the week. Tell us about your athletes of the week that you picked up so far.
Yeah, so on the girls' side, I chose Lake Central goalkeeper Tatum Damron. They had their season ended, I believe this was Tuesday, against Crown Point in the Lake Central sectional. Obviously not the way she wanted to end her senior season, but she was one of the better goalkeepers in the region. And for anyone who was at that game, Crown Point won 3-0 to advance. But, the 3 goals they got were not easy goals. Damron, by my count, made 10 saves, and 3 or 4 of them were pretty amazing. She was just a stud, and it was just one of those things where you face a better team. But I don't want anyone to look at the box score and say, oh, she gave up 3 goals. Like, those were 3 really tough goals,
yeah.
And by that same token, it was 0-0 at halftime. So, hats off to her on a great career, and just, hats off to the entire program for making it through the year. The first-year head coach, Jenna Noel, she's a Lake Central graduate, and she was pretty proud of her team and the way they persevered despite all the circumstances, getting a new head coach, COVID-19, things like that. They fought, and they were right there, like I said, in that first half. So Tatum Damron is my girls athlete of the week. And then my boys athlete of the week would have to be Jovan Lucas from Gavitt. Heck of an athlete, man. He is super fast, and he had the touchdown, 66-yard touchdown run against Clark to seal Gavitt's win. And the big thing I want people to kind of remember is that, Gavitt, Clark, Morton, Hammond, are they the top teams in the region? No, but the bigger idea or the bigger story is that for Clark, Gavitt, and Hammond, this is their last football season. Clark, Gavitt, and Hammond, this is their last football season in school history. The only high schools that will be left in Hammond after this school year, when the school city of Hammond consolidates, it will be Morton and then Hammond Central, which is being built behind the Hammond High building right now. So for those 3 schools, this is their last run. So for them to get that season back and be reinstated and kind of be able to end, their football seasons and their football programs on their own terms, it was a really big deal. So, stay on the lookout for them. And, who knows, man, the postseason is coming up. And like I said, I think Morton is the strongest of that group. And, if they were able to win a couple games, it'd be pretty special. But even besides all of that, it's just cool that I got to be there for, to see them start that last season this past week. So was pretty fun. And like I said, Jovan Lucas had the game sealing touchdown for Gavitt. He's a senior, so he was pretty excited, and he's got some swagger about him. So I like talking to him. He was excited. I think the quote that I used in the story, he was like, this still doesn't even feel real, just because at one point he thought his senior season was over, thought his career was over, and then he got reinstated to everyone's surprise. So that was really fun, and those two athletes really inspired me. And also, just real quick, I guess as my third athlete of the week, which is rare, I guess first time ever. I want to give a shout out to Hammond forward Daryl Reed, who committed to Alabama State on Wednesday. Division I. He's going to go play for Mo Williams, the former NBA guard who won an NBA championship with LeBron James 2016. Of course, that was the infamous or beloved 3-1 comeback, depending on whose side you're on, by the Cavaliers. But for him to get a chance to play at the next level, get a free education, and play for a former NBA player, then also go to an HBCU, I thought that was awesome, man. It was cool to talk to him about that. And actually, he's the first player from Hammond to sign to a Division I school right out of high school since 1989. So it's been nearly 30 years, over 30 years since the last player who did it. So they've had players go the JUCO route and eventually go Division I. But he's the first one to sign straight out of high school from Hammond and go Division I. So that was pretty cool to kind of see that history. And again, he's going to go play for a guy who's been there, been to the highest level, been to the mountaintop. And he told me, he wants to go to the league. And then when I told him, oh yeah, he said yeah. And then he told me, he kind of backtracked a little bit, said, oh, well, I'll play professional anywhere. But I kind of want to tell him and anyone out there, hey, if you got a dream, man, go for it. Don't limit yourself. Don't say you can't do it. And then, if you work for it and then it doesn't work out, if you really put that work in, I still feel like you'll end up somewhere good just because you didn't cheat yourself by not trying at all. So if he wants to go there, I'd love to check in with him, 10 years from now and see him, on an NBA court.
That's fantastic, man. To hear it to Sizzle, we always like a little extra. I like 2 cherries on the top of my Sunday. Hey, James, I know we're getting ready to wrap it up, man. I know you got to run out of here and go take care of this big pairings that's coming up. Are there any final thoughts that you have? Just a few minutes left here. A few final thoughts. We always like to close with you because you always leave us with something. I always end up at the end of the day after I talk to you with my hand on my chin going, James had some mention on the back end.
I think one of the bigger stories I came across today was actually CAPPIE Poindexter, the former WNBA star. She's actually missing. So that's a huge story. I'm a huge basketball fan, as you all know. And she's from Chicago, Illinois, where my family is from. I'm from the suburbs from Romeoville, Illinois, so I would never claim Chicago as my hometown. But there's a lot of summers in Chicago, and I love Chicago hoops, and I love the Chicago athletic scene in general. But yes, it came out today she has been missing. Her wallet and her phone were found, I believe, at her home, but she's not there, so they're looking for her. Missing persons report is out there. Just so you all who aren't as familiar with her, she's a 2-time WNBA champion, WNBA Finals MVP, 3-time All-NBA first team, 7-time All-Star, has done it all in the league, and is definitely a Hall of Fame, type of player. So for me, it was really, disheartening to hear about that, just because, as much as she means to the game, I can only imagine how much she means to those, around her who know her and love her for more than what she did on the basketball court. So basically what I'm trying to say is, for any of you out there, pray for her family, pray for her safe return. And women everywhere, really. I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, and I think one of the things that really has entered my mind as I've gotten older is just how different the world is for women as opposed to men. And I don't think about, stopping at a gas station and being, harassed or being catcalled. But I remember I took a women in journalism class in college, and there was only 2 men in the class, and me and another guy, and then there was maybe 10 or 12 women. And we went around the room one day, and they all said they had been sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, or catcalled, or made to feel uncomfortable by a man because they were a woman. And it really opened my eyes, and it, made me go back and talk to my mom about it, my sister, my grandma, and things that do not happen in my household as far as respecting women. Women respect women all the time in our household. It really opened my eyes that that's just not the case out here in the real world sometimes. So to all of you out there, like I said, pray for Cappie. And also pray for women everywhere that they can be loved and respected and treated with, the utmost respect, because that's what they deserve. Like I told you before, man, I love specifically Black women, all women really, but Black women just mean a lot to me just because a Black woman gave me life, and then, Black women saved my life. So let's hope that Cappie Poindexter next week I can be talking about how she was found and returned home safely, and I'm believing God for that.
Well, prayers out there for Cappie Poindexter and her family, and especially out there. If anybody knows anything about her, make sure you contact your local authorities. Let's see if we can bring her home. That's the most important thing. And then again, James, I really appreciate you just for your heart, that you really have a feel for people, and you really your love for people in general. And I just really appreciate about you. That's one of the real reasons why I really love coming on here talking to you. Because again, you make me put my hand on my chin and go, So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, like I said, I appreciate you all for having me on. I'm sorry it had to be kind of cut and dry this week. Like I said, they put the drawing show on a Thursday this year. It's always on a Sunday, kind of like, Selection Sunday type of thing. Selection Thursday does not have the same ring to it, but like I said, I'm all for it, and I definitely want to get something out there just because people are usually excited when those random draws come out. Unlike Illinois where it's seeded, Indiana's kind of just, luck of the draw, and sometimes your draw can determine how far you go. Obviously, you got to lace them up and play, but, I'm sure some teams will appreciate their draws more than others, and I'll have a little more on that on the website in a couple hours here. But until next time, my friend, you stay safe, and hopefully we'll get the other guy on the air whenever his technology helps him out.
Sounds good. Thanks again, James, for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to The Sizzle. We're on with James Boyd, Northwest Indiana Times prep reporter, and we'll see you on the other side.